we were faced with multiple reporting challenges and decided, out of an abundance of caution, to protect the integrity of the Iowa caucuses and their results by taking the necessary steps to review and confirm the data.
And once again, there's the Iowa Democratic Party Chairman Troy Price trying to tell everyone exactly what happened this week. And joining me right here now again this week is KWWL political analyst Dr. Chris Larimer of the University of Northern Iowa. Chris, I've been having a hard time actually putting into words what happened this week. Let me hear it from you. What do you think happened this week? This has been quite a chaotic, historic week for the Iowa Caucus and the state of Iowa.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it, is chaotic and historic. I'd say, unbelievable on many fronts, in the sense of unbelievable how it unfolded Monday night, and then, unbelievable in terms of the national reaction, such a negative reaction to what happened in Iowa, what happened with the process, where we are even right now, several days later, that it just is unbelievable. I don't think anybody expected this.
Yeah, so it looks like it's pretty clear that Pete Buttigieg and Bernie Sanders are going to come out as the big winners in Iowa. Whether or not that translates into anything huge for either of them, it looks like Pete Buttigieg, since he was the first to come on and actually say, I won, even though no numbers had yet been announced, he did get a boost going into New Hampshire on Tuesday.
Yeah, and that was the big question. If we had all this uncertainty about the results, does that essentially nullify any sort of boost coming out of Iowa? I mean, you can think back to, and I know we talked about it on caucus night, with 2012, where Rick Santorum, Mitt Romney was declared the winner on caucus night, then Rick Santorum a little over 2 weeks later, but that was after the New Hampshire primary, so he didn't get that Iowa bump necessarily, or as big of a bump as he might have received. But it looks like Buttigieg is getting that bump. But what's, kind of ironic about all of this is that after the 2016 caucuses, where it was decided by less than a percentage point between Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton, the Sanders people said, the Iowa caucuses need to open up. They felt like they had more votes, even though the state delegate equivalent didn't go their way. Well, they may have been right, because now that the new procedures for 2020 were to open that up to say we'll show the numbers for first alignment, final alignment, and then the state delegate equivalents. And right now, Bernie Sanders is leading Pete Buttigieg by a couple of thousand votes in that final alignment vote.
Right.
But yet the state delegate equivalent is different. It's essentially a tie between those two. And so, Sanders may have been onto something in 2016.
Yeah, they're both going to get probably equal amounts of delegates out of Iowa. Sanders already had a press conference earlier this week, and he said, yeah, we're going to win the popular vote in Iowa, the raw vote, by a few thousand, as they say they did in 2016. And that's the whole idea. The transparency was supposed to be greater this year. There was supposed to be a bigger turnout, more people taking part. It looks like both of those things didn't go that way. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, you're right. It sounds like on turnout, it looks like closer to 2016 levels. I mean, at least where we are right now, and trying to get that final count, maybe just a little bit under 2016, which again is pretty remarkable, because it wasn't just a few months ago where they were talking about record turnout.
Exactly.
Getting close to that 239,000 mark from 2008, and it sounds like they're not even going to get close to eclipsing the 200,000 mark. Again, it's just one of those unbelievable aspects about how this all unfolded. And again, with the more transparency this year, that's also opened Iowa up to more criticism, because now we have three sets of numbers. And again, it's not a kind of a one-to-one relationship where if you're winning in the first alignment, the final alignment, that doesn't necessarily translate into the most state delegate equivalents.
Yeah, the people who are against Iowa being first in the nation, this is like bullet number 3 coming in.
At least.
This is a big one this time. And already enough is enough. You probably heard it this week, said the chairman of the National Democratic Committee, the DNC, Tom Perez. He is calling for a complete recanvass of the Iowa caucuses. He put it in a tweet. He said, in light of the problems that have emerged in the implementation of the delegate selection plan in order to assure public confidence in the results, I am calling on the Iowa Democratic Party to immediately begin the recanvass. The DNC is already, we're not even into the real election cycle here, for they're already distancing themselves from Iowa.
Yeah, they are, and I think that statement from the DNC chair is potentially pretty devastating for Iowa, because we heard Troy Price in his statement earlier in the week talk about that he was going to have that conversation, the conversation they have every 4 years with the DNC. But already, as you said, the DNC is trying to sort of reestablish some order, trying to almost, tell the Iowa Democratic Party what it should be doing. And on top of that, there's the New York Times report talking about quote, what they call inconsistencies in at least 100 precincts as they went back and canvassed. And so, Yeah, I think there are a lot of question marks right now about the procedures related to the Iowa caucuses.
Yeah, even locally, we had Blackhawk County Supervisor Chris Schwartz on the program earlier this week, and he was concerned because some of the delegates actually went to Deval Patrick, of all people, in this case,
right.
and that means, again, that's an inconsistency. That's a red flag. He wouldn't be getting a delegate out of this state in the caucuses. So, has that happened many times across the state? We don't really know at this point. Yeah.
No, we don't. And I think it's important to remember too that every year or every cycle there were probably errors. There were because there's just human errors when you have this kind of a process, whether it's on the Democrat or the Republican side. You can have data entry errors.
If it was working, the shadow app I'm talking about,
right.
that was created, as I understand, only a few months ago,
right.
and the state Democratic Party only got it a few weeks ago, and we don't know how much testing was done. They said there was testing done. We don't know at this point, but. That seems like an awfully close time to the actual caucus day to be testing a product to make sure that it's working 100%, which obviously it was not. You know.
Right. And all this was designed to streamline the process, and it seems to have right now the opposite effect, where the app didn't work. There was supposed to be a larger call center so it wouldn't get clogged up, and both those things seem to have failed on Monday night.
And one thing that was interesting, the National Democratic Party, the Democratic National Committee, obviously was concerned about technology in the beginning because they didn't want the virtual caucus to go through because they were concerned about the technology. And also, as the head of the security, I read in an article, I think it might have been in the New York Times, concerned about this particular app too, whether or not it was going to work. And you, among a lot of people, were expressing how in the world are they going to get those three different reporting results in on caucus night. I know you had big concerns about that from the beginning, right?
Well, right. I mean, it was just such a drastic change in procedures, and you think about all the people that are involved in the caucuses, between the precinct chairs, the secretaries, and then the 100,000 plus people, nearly 170,000 people showing up, trying to get all of that worked in, and then you're adding basically 2 new counts for those precinct chairs that they are going to have to make public. And if you're talking about just a precinct chair and a precinct secretary working in a room of 400 plus people, or 500 or even bigger, that's going to take some time. That's going to be difficult to get done in one setting like that.
One thing I forgot to mention early in the program is we're not knocking the volunteers
who
went out. There were hundreds, thousands of volunteers who took part in these caucuses. They went out, they did their jobs on their own time.
That's right.
They did a fantastic job aligning everything. We heard of a few mistakes maybe at some caucuses, but overall, 99.9, all the caucuses seemed to run fairly smoothly. But when it came time to report the results, then look out. Katie barred the doors. That's when they found out there was a big time problem. So the volunteers, we congratulate them for doing the best job that they can, as they always do every 4 years. But then look out, and here's what happened. Lots of negative headlines about Iowa. Let me just read a couple of them. I don't know if you saw the New York Post. Des Moines, not D-E-S, D-U-H, capital, Des Moines. Even the Cedar Rapids Gazette had an article which basically said the big loser in all of this week is the state of Iowa. Here was another one, riddled with errors and inconsistencies. And then Politico had a huge headline which said, the death of Iowa, the reign is over. I mean, these are the types of things. We knew it was coming when we were talking about this on caucus night, but it was even worse than I ever anticipated.
Yeah, you're right. And I can remember on caucus night on CNN, Chris Cuomo saying, Iowa, you had one job and you blew it.
Yeah, right. I heard him say that. Yeah.
Right.
And he's not a big fan of this process anyway.
He's not.
Yeah. So.
And that's the hard part about all of this. The caucuses are very unique, and unless you're from here, and even more so, unless you've even actually run a caucus, you don't understand all of that goes into it. And like you said, all the work that the volunteers have to do, the precinct chairs, the secretaries, it is a complex process. And so it makes it easy to criticize from afar when you're trying to understand all the different rules and all the math associated with first alignment, final alignment, and those state delegate equivalents.
We'll come back with Dr. Chris Larimer of UNI to kind of wrap things up on a chaotic, amazing, historic caucus week in just a moment.
We have said all along that we were going to make these caucuses the most transparent possible. This year, we're reporting out more data than we ever have reported before. And in addition to that, we have paper trails that we've never had before.
And once again, there's the Iowa Democratic Party Chairman Troy Price trying to tell everyone exactly what happened this week. And welcome back to this week's edition of the Steele Report as we wrap up a very interesting and historic, chaotic perhaps even messy Iowa Caucus week with Dr. Chris Larimer, KWWL political analyst from the University of Northern Iowa. Senator Warren is going to finish third in Iowa. She made a statement earlier this week. She said Iowa Democrats should get it together and release all the data. So she is another even criticizing. Senator Richard Blumenthal, Democrat out of Connecticut, said Iowa has outlived its usefulness as the first state to cast its ballots. And then another Democrat said it's a quirky, quaint tradition which should come to an end. Now, obviously, we don't want it to come to an end. It's a tremendous economic boost to the state of Iowa. That would be a disaster for a lot of people financially to end the caucuses, but that will not be of any concern to people who are going to make those final decisions, like the Democratic National Committee. Senator Warren won Johnson County, didn't she?
Yeah, she did, and that was surprising to me, because you always think of Johnson County as sort of being a real hotbed of support for Bernie Sanders, and you think about all the rallies he has down in Iowa City, and we always, I always think of Johnson County as, if you look back to the 2016 election for the U.S. Senate for Chuck Grassley, as well as the 2014 election for governor for Terry Branstad, they both won 98 out of the 99 counties. The one county that he didn't win was Johnson County. And so, kind of where you think of a lot of very liberal supporters, and we know that that's where Bernie Sanders draws his strength. But Elizabeth Warren looks like she may eke out a very narrow victory in Johnson County, but that's the only county where it looks like she'll end up winning. And so I think it was a disappointing night. It looks like she'll finish third, so you could still talk about those 3 tickets out of Iowa. But going through the entrance polls from Monday night, she didn't fare as well as kind of the Pete Buttigieg or the Bernie Sanders or even Joe Biden on some of those demographic groups, in the sense of having broad support. She was kind of third or fourth across a lot of demographic groups. Yeah,
so let's talk about a couple of people here, Michael Bloomberg and Joe Biden.
Yeah.
Obviously, Biden knows he got beat badly here. He said he took a gut punch. He said that on camera this week, so that's bad news for him coming out of Iowa, and he's running third in New Hampshire right now.
Yeah.
Michael Bloomberg's the big question mark. He makes him look like he was pretty smart to skip Iowa, but he is definitely going to be a factor.
Yeah, and that's the danger for Iowa, is if he looks smart by skipping Iowa. I mean, I think you can even think back to 2008 with John McCain. There were concerns after that he finished fourth in Iowa and still went on to be the nominee. There were questions in 2008 going into 2012 about, well, what relevance does Iowa really have? And there were even questions going into 2008 and to some extent 2016 about how much would Hillary Clinton compete in Iowa, right? So, that's another criticism that people will look at Iowa to say, well, do we really even need to compete there? And that's where the real danger is if candidates start deciding they don't need to come here. Even if Iowa would somehow stay first, if candidates decide not to come, then Iowa's essentially irrelevant.
Yeah, I see Tulsi Gabbard did win one county down in southern Iowa, I believe, and Andrew Yang actually won in my hometown of Wapello. He won the precinct there, so he won one as well. But Tom Steyer, who has spent more money than anybody else except Michael Bloomberg nationally, did not do well here at all.
No, he didn't. And just thinking about some of the other candidates, Senator Amy Klobuchar looks like she won a few counties kind of in northern and western Iowa, which is where you'd expect her to win, bordering Iowa, the Worth, I think she won Worth and Mitchell counties, and so not too surprising there. But with the uncertainty around the results is, you didn't have the people dropping out on caucus night or the day after that we've seen in the past. Everybody essentially went forward to New Hampshire because there were no results.
Everybody got a free pass.
Right.
And I think the one who was really excited about that probably was Joe Biden, because he knew that they were in trouble here, and the longer they could delay that and maybe do better in New Hampshire would have been better for him. But then the results started coming out, and he finished fourth.
Right, and I think for the Biden campaign right now, they're just looking to get through Iowa, which they did along with everybody else. But now just getting through New Hampshire, I think they really want to get to South Carolina, where they can say where they think they're going to win a state.
So we got the Nevada has already said they're not going to use the shadow app that was used in Iowa, so they've got that clearly out there. I heard the Secretary of State in New Hampshire said you don't have to worry about our results because you can't hack a pencil. So I mean, there was no hack in Iowa, I don't think, but still, we're kind of the brunt of the jokes right now, which is really unfortunate.
Yeah, we are. I think that's. In part, that's why we needed the New Hampshire primary to happen, because we can at least shift focus to a different state where you actually have a set of results, and then kind of keep having the conversation behind the scenes, but let the process unfold a little bit.
And then real quickly, Super Tuesday, that's coming up real quickly. That's going to be a very, very deciding day for a lot of these candidates.
It is, and to your point about Michael Bloomberg, that's going to be really interesting to see how he does. Can you really spend that kind of money, kind of skip these early states without building any momentum and then jump right into Super Tuesday and do well? I think that's the really big question out there.
Yeah, I heard a quote from him that said he is now willing to spend twice as much money, of his own money,
Wow.
$200-300 million to promote himself.
Wow.
To be
incredible.
president.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. All right, Dr. Chris Larimer, great job this week. Really appreciate
Thank
your
you.
insight,
Thank you.
Chris,
Enjoyed
from the
it.
University of Northern Iowa Political Science Department professor up there, and will be our analyst throughout the election year. And it's going to be a very, very interesting year, Chris. A lot of developments. We'll have you back on when things happen here, and we'll see what happens going forward. So that's
Looking forward to
it this week. As always, we thank you for watching. We'll see you next week.